My beloved child, pause with me for a moment. Breathe. Let the noise around you grow quiet, because what I am about to speak is not small, and it is not meant for later. Your tomorrow depends on this moment. Not on what you will do next week, not on what you will figure out someday, but on what you choose to hear right now. I am speaking now because now is where destiny listens. I know you have been thinking about tomorrow. I know the questions that rise and the world grows still. Will things change? Will the wait lift? Will the answers come in time? You try to plan, to prepare, to protect yourself from disappointment, yet your heart still feels unsettled. That is because your future is not shaped by worry or effort alone. It is shaped by alignment. And alignment begins with listening. Do not think this moment is ordinary. Do not tell yourself this is just another message, another voice among many. I do not interrupt without purpose. I do not call your attention unless something ahead of you requires a shift within you. There are paths opening and paths closing, and the direction of your heart today is influencing what you will walk into tomorrow. You may feel like time is running, like you are behind, like others have moved ahead while you are still waiting. Hear me clearly, my child. You are not late. You are being positioned. Waiting is not wasted when I am the one holding you still. I am not silent, I am intentional. And when I speak, it is because the next season is close enough to be affected by your response now. I see the quiet fear you do not always name. The one that wonders if tomorrow will repeat yesterday's pain. The one that asks if hope is risky. The one that tells you to guard your heart by expecting less. But listen to me. Fear does not get to decide what comes next. Habit does not get to decide. Your past does not get to decide. I do. Right now, I am inviting you into awareness. Not urgency rooted in panic, but urgency rooted in love. The holy now. A moment where you stop bracing yourself and start trusting me. Because what you agree with today becomes the foundation of your tomorrow. If you agree with fear, fear builds. If you agree with truth, truth takes shape. I am not asking you to solve everything. I am not demanding answers or perfection. I'm asking for your attention, for your heart, for your willingness to hear me above every other voice that has been predicting your future without permission. Your tomorrow is not fragile in my hands, but it is responsive to your posture, and that is why I speak now, because this moment matters more than you realize. Stay with me. Do not rush past this. Let my words settle into you. I am here. I'm speaking. And what comes next will be shaped by what you receive today. My beloved child, I see the weight you carry, even when you try to hide it behind strength. I see it when you wake up and before you sleep. I see it in a way your thoughts circle the same concern, searching for certainty, searching for relief. You tell yourself to be patient, to stay hopeful, to keep going. Yet there are moments when your soul feels tired in a way rest alone does not fix. I want you to know this first. I am not disappointed in you. I am not distant from you. I am near, and I have been near all along. You have been holding more than you were meant to hold. Worries about tomorrow. Questions about provision, direction, relationships, purpose. You replay conversations. You revisit decisions. You wonder if you missed something, if you waited too long, if you should have done more. But hear me gently now. You are not failing. You are carrying concern that belongs to me. There is a quiet pressure you feel, a sense that you must figure everything out before time runs out. That pressure did not come from me. I do not lead my children with heaviness or fear. When I guide, there is clarity. When I correct, there's peace. When I prepare you for what is ahead, I do not crush you under it. I walk with you through it. I see how strong you have tried to be for others. How you listen, support, encourage, even when your own heart feels uncertain. You rarely say how tired you are, because you do not want to burden anyone. You wonder if anyone truly sees how much effort it takes just to keep showing up. My child, I see. Nothing about you is invisible to me. There are nights when your thoughts are loud, when tomorrow feels too close and too unclear. You imagine different outcomes, trying to prepare for disappointment so it will hurt less if it comes. But preparing for pain does not protect your heart. It only steals today's peace. I did not design you to live braced for impact. I designed you to live held. You have not been overlooked. You have not been forgotten. You have not been misplaced. Every delay, every pause, every quiet season had been under my watchful care. I know it does not always feel purposeful. I know waiting can feel like standing still while the world moves on. I am doing something deeper than speed. I am strengthening your roots. You ask me sometimes silently, why does this feel so heavy if I am trusting you? And I answer you now with love. Trust does not mean the absence of feeling. It means choosing to stay open even when certainty is missing. It means letting me carry what you cannot see how to hold. And that choice, even when it feels small, matters more than you know. I am not measuring you by your productivity, your progress, or your ability to stay composed. I am looking at your heart. I see your desire to do what is right. I see your longing for peace. I see the way you come back to me, even when doubts try to pull you away. That matters. That counts. That is not unnoticed. You are allowed to rest here with me. You are allowed to admit that you are tired. You are allowed to release the weight you were never meant to carry alone. Tomorrow does not require you to be stronger than you are today. It requires you to be honest and willing to let me lead. I am not rushing you. I am not standing over you with expectations you cannot meet. I am walking beside you, steady and patient. And as we walk, I am already easing the load you have been carrying. You do not have to understand everything yet. You do not have to see the full picture. You only need to stay close. Remain with me. Let your shoulders relax. Let your breath deepen. You are safe here. And as we move forward together, the weight you feel now will not define what comes next. My beloved child, there comes a moment when the path quietly divides, even if nothing around you seems to change. This is that moment. Not loud, not dramatic, but sacred. A crossroads of the heart where what you choose to agree with begins to shape what you will live with tomorrow. You may not feel like you are making a decision, yet you are. Every time you listen, every time you trust, every time you pause instead of panic, you are choosing a direction. I have brought you here not to overwhelm you, but to awaken you. You are standing between two inner postures. One says, I must control what comes next or I will be hurt again. The other says, I will trust even when I cannot see. Both feel powerful. Only one leads to peace. I am not forcing you. I am inviting you. You may think crossroads always look obvious, but often they are quiet. They happen in the stillness of your thoughts, in the way you respond to uncertainty, in whether you let fear speak first or whether you wait for my voice. This is not about a single big decision. It is about the direction of your heart. Right now, you can continue carrying tomorrow alone, rehearsing every possible outcome, bracing yourself so you are never caught off guard. Or you can choose something different. You can let me lead. You can let me speak into the spaces you have been filling with worry. You can stop striving for certainty and start resting in trust. I know letting go feels risky. I know you have learned to protect yourself by staying alert, by expecting delays, by lowering hope so disappointment does not sting as much. But my child, that posture slowly drains life from the present. You were not created to survive your days. You were created to live them. This crossroads is not about perfection. It is about willingness. Will you be willing to listen before you react? Will you be willing to trust my timing instead of measuring yourself against others? Will you be willing to believe that I can guide you even when the way forward feels unclear? Do not rush past this moment. Stillness is not wasted here. In fact, stillness is where direction becomes clear. When you quiet the noise, you will hear me. And when you hear me, you will realize you are not as lost as you thought. You are simply being asked to shift how you move forward. I am not asking you to abandon wisdom or responsibility. I am asking you to release the belief that everything depends on you. It does not. It never did. I have been carrying more of this than you realize. I have been opening doors you cannot yet see and closing paths that would have wounded you. Trusting me now does not weaken you. It aligns you. Let this be the moment you stop arguing with uncertainty and start walking with me through it. Let this be the moment you choose presence over panic, faith over fear, listening over striving. Your tomorrow will respond to this choice. And my beloved child, if these words are settling something in your spirit, if you feel peace beginning to rise where tension once lived, do not keep this moment to yourself. Bless this message with your engagement. Let others know that I am speaking. Hype this video so it can reach hearts that are standing at their own quiet crossroads. When you share, when you support, when you help this message move forward, you become part of what I am doing in lives beyond your own. Stay connected, stay close, and remain here with me. Now, hear me as I speak beyond this moment. As you stand at this crossroads, know this: you are not choosing alone. I am here. I am guiding you. And the direction you take with me will lead you into a tomorrow shaped by peace, not fear. My beloved child, I want you to understand something important about the fear that has been so loud in your life. Fear often feels convincing, not because it is true, but because it repeats itself. It learns the sound of your thoughts, studies your memories, and speaks in familiar tones. That is why it can feel like your own voice. But fear is not wisdom, and it is not intuition. It is noise that grows when silence feels uncomfortable. Fear became loud because you have been standing at the edge of change. When movement is near, fear raises its volume. It wants to keep you familiar, predictable, contained. It tells you that staying tense is safer than trusting. It tells you to expect the worst so you will not be surprised. But fear does not protect your future. It only limits your present. You have noticed how fear speaks in questions that never end. What if this fails? What if nothing changes? What if I trust and regret it? These questions feel urgent, yet they never lead you forward. They keep you circling the same ground, exhausting your mind while offering no peace. That is how you know they are not from me. My voice does not rush you. My voice does not accuse you. My voice does not demand answers you do not yet have. When I speak, there is steadiness. Even when I lead you into the unknown, there is a calm assurance beneath it. The fear shouts, I am I. Fear has been loud because it sensed you were listening differently. It noticed you beginning to pause instead of panic, to breathe instead of brace. It felt the shift in your attention, and it tried to reclaim it. Do not be alarmed by that. Resistance often appears right before release. I want you to see fear for what it truly is. Fear is not a warning about the future. It is a reaction to uncertainty in the present. It fills the gap when trust has not yet settled. And that gap is not a failure. It is an invitation. An invitation to let me speak into the space fear hath been occupying. You do not need to fight fear aggressively. You do not need to argue with every thought. You only need to stop treating fear as an authority. Fear is not a prophet. Fear does not see tomorrow. Fear does not know what I have prepared. It only knows what you have survived. And survival is not the same as destiny. There are moments when fear feels practical, even responsible. It disguises itself as caution, as realism, as wisdom gained from pain. But wisdom does not drain you of peace. Wisdom does not leave you restless and tense. Wisdom aligns you with truth, not dread. And I am the source of wisdom. I know fear learned its voice during seasons when you were hurt, disappointed, were left uncertain. It stepped in when things felt out of control and promised to keep you alert. It may have helped you endure, but it cannot help you advance. What once serves survival will not serve growth. Listen carefully now. You do not need fear to prepare you for what is ahead. I am already there. I see what you cannot. I know the timing, the connections, the unfolding that is taking place beyond your awareness. Fear guesses. I know. When fear rises, let it become a signal rather than a command. A signal that you are near something meaningful. A signal that you are being invited to trust more deeply. Do not shame yourself for feeling it. Simply do not follow it. Bring your fear to me. Not to be judged, not to be dismissed, but to be quieted. When you place fear in my hands, it loses its grip. When you listen for my voice instead, clarity begins to form. You are not weak because fear has been loud. You are human. But you are also mine. And my presence is stronger than every anxious thought that has tried to predict your future. Stay here with me. Let fear fade into the background. Let my voice become familiar again. I am not alarmed by what lies ahead. And as you learn to listen to me more than to fear, you will discover that tomorrow is not something to dread, but something already held. My beloved child, now that you understand how fear has tried to fill the silence, I want you to recognize something even more powerful. I speak into chaos, and when I do, chaos listens. I do not compete with fear by raising my voice. I overcome it by bringing peace. My voice carries authority not because it is loud, but because it is true. There have been moments when your life felt noisy inside, even when everything outside looked calm. Your thoughts ran ahead of you. Your heart raced to conclusions, and stillness felt uncomfortable. In those moments, you may have wondered where I was, why you could not hear me clearly. But hear me now. I never left. I was speaking, even then. The noise did not mean my absence. It only meant your heart was learning how to listen. When I speak into chaos, I do not always remove the storm immediately. Sometimes I quiet you first. Peace does not begin when circumstances change. Peace begins when you recognize my presence in the middle of what has not yet changed. That is where real calm is born. You may have expected me to speak with instructions, with explanations, with a detailed plan. Sometimes I do. But often, the first thing I speak into chaos is assurance. I remind you who I am. I remind you who you are. I remind you that nothing has slipped beyond my care. That reminder alone begins to restore order inside you. Chaos thrives where trust is thin. That is not a condemnation. is an observation born of love. When you have been hurt, disappointed, or left uncertain, trust does not disappear overnight. It weakens quietly. Chaos rushes in to fill that gap. But I rebuild trust gently, patiently, through my voice. My voice does not pressure you. It does not rush you toward outcomes. It draws you into alignment. When you are aligned with me, your thoughts begin to settle, your breathing deepens, and your decisions gain clarity. Not because everything is solved, but because you are no longer alone inside your uncertainty. There are times when you expect me to speak grammatically, to interrupt your thoughts with something unmistakable. But often, I speak softly so you can learn the sound of peace. My voice feels like steadiness, like grounding, like a sense of this is safe even when the road ahead is still unfolding. You have felt this before, even if you did not name it. A calm that came unexpectedly. A reassurance that did not come from logic. A moment when worry loosened its grip without explanation. That was me, speaking into chaos, restoring order where fear had been ruling. I want you to know that chaos does not intimidate me. Confusion does not alarm me. Your unanswered questions do not make me uncertain. I am not trying to catch up to your situation. I am already ahead of it, and I am walking you toward what you need one step at a time. You may be tempted to wait for everything to quiet down before you listen for me. But my child, that is not how peace grows. Peace grows when you listen while things are still unsettled. That is when my voice matters most. That is when alignment happens. I speak direction when you are ready to hear it, not when fear demands it. Sometimes readiness looks like surrender rather than understanding. Sometimes it looks like choosing trust before clarity arrives. The choice opens space for my guidance to settle in you. Do not underestimate the power of my gentle words. They carry more authority than fear ever could. When I speak peace, it is not a temporary calm. It is a foundation. Something you can stand on while everything else finds its place. Stay attentive, my beloved child. Not anxious, not strained, but open. Let my voice become the one you recognize first. Let it guide your thoughts, your reactions, your expectations. Chaos will not define you. Fear will not lead you. My voice will. And as you learn to listen, you will discover that even in the middle of uncertainty, you are steadied. Even before answers come, you are held. Even while the path unfolds, you are guided. I am speaking. I always have been. And when you let my voice rise above the noise, peace will follow. My beloved child, there is something I want you to understand deeply now. Something that will free you from quiet pressure you may not even realize you are carrying. Advancement does not begin with movement. It begins with alignment. Before I move you forward, I align you inward. Before I open doors, I steady your heart. Before tomorrow shifts, today must settle. You have been measuring yourself by speed, by progress you can see, by milestones that others notice. And when your life does not move at the pace you expected, you wonder if something is wrong. You wonder if you misunderstood me or if you missed your moment. Hear me clearly and let this truth rest in you. I am not guided by clocks. I am guided by purpose. When alignment is off, even fast movement leads to exhaustion. You can run hard and still feel empty. You can achieve much and still feel unsettled. That is why I do not rush you forward while your spirit is strained. I love you too much to advance you without anchoring you first. Alignment means your heart agrees with my direction, even before you understand the details. It means your expectations loosen their grip, allowing trust to take their place. It means you stop pushing against the present and start receiving what I am forming in it. That inner agreement is powerful. It quietly prepares you for what is coming. You may feel like you are standing still while others surge ahead. But stillness with me is not stagnation. It is calibration. Just as an instrument must be tuned before it can produce the right sound, your spirit must be aligned before it can sustain the next season. Without that, advancement becomes strain. I see how you long for clarity. You want to know what comes next so you can prepare yourself emotionally, financially, mentally. The desire is understandable, but alignment often comes before explanation. Trust often comes before understanding, and peace often comes before answers. When you resist the present, alignment is difficult. When you accept it, even if you do not like it yet, something shifts. Acceptance is not resignation. It is cooperation. It is saying, I trust that you are working here, even if I cannot see how. That posture opens space for growth you cannot force. You have asked me for movement, and I have been giving you alignment. You have asked me for change, and I have been strengthening your foundation. This is not delay. This is preparation. What is being formed in you now will determine how you carry what is coming next. If I were to move you forward without alignment, what should bless you would overwhelm you. What should bring joy would bring anxiety. What should expand you would strain you. I will not do that to you. I am a good father. I prepare my children for what I prepare for them. Alignment also means learning to trust my pace. My pace is not slow. It is precise. I do not waste time, and I do not rush growth. Everything unfolds when it is ready, not when fear demands it. And you, my child, are unfolding. There are lessons you are learning now that you will not have time to learn later. There is strength being built quietly, discernment forming, resilience deepening. These things cannot be rushed, and they cannot be skipped. They are becoming part of you, shaping how you will walk into tomorrow. I know it is tempting to think, once this changes, I will have peace. But peace does not come from arrival. It comes from alignment. And alignment is available to you now, in this moment, right where you are. Let your heart settle into agreement with me. Let go of the urgency that comes from comparison. Release the timeline you have been gripping so tightly. You are not being held back. You are being positioned. Stay with me here. Let alignment finish its work. Because when the moment comes for movement, it will feel clear, not frantic. It will feel steady, not forced. And you will step forward not because you are desperate, but because you are ready. I'm aligning you, and what comes next will meet you in peace. My beloved child, now I draw your attention to something gentle yet powerful, the power of listening now. Not later, not after everything makes sense, not once the noise disappears, but now, in the middle of the ordinary moments of your day. Listening is not passive. It is an act of trust. It is how relationship deepens. It is how direction becomes clear. You often think listening means waiting for something dramatic, a sudden revelation, a moment that leaves no room for doubt. But most of my guidance does not arrive that way. It arrives quietly, like a steady pull toward peace, like a nudge toward patience, like a sense of restraint when you want to rush ahead. These small impressions matter more than you realize. They are how I lead you step by step. When you listen now, you learn discernment. You begin to notice the difference between my voice and the voices that borrow your fears. You begin to sense when something aligns with peace and when it carries tension. This awareness grows with practice. The more you listen, the clearer it becomes. and the clearer it becomes, the more confident you feel moving forward. Listening now also protects you from unnecessary weight. When you pause to hear me before reacting, you avoid carrying burdens that were never assigned to you. You avoid responding from emotion alone. You avoid saying yes to things that quietly drain you. Listening is not about hearing words. It is about receiving wisdom. I know there are times when you feel unsure whether you are hearing me or just your own thoughts. That uncertainty does not disqualify you. It is part of learning. My voice brings peace, even when it challenges you. It brings clarity, even when it calls you to wait. It does not leave you restless and anxious. When you are unsure, slow down. Peace will confirm what belongs to me. Listening now requires humility. It means admitting you do not have to know everything before taking the next step. It means allowing me to guide you incrementally instead of demanding the full picture. Faith grows this way, not through grand leaps, but through daily attention. You may feel that small acts of listening do not matter much. A moment of patience here, a decision to rest there, a choice to speak kindly instead of defensively. But these moments shape you. They align you. They prepare you for greater responsibility and deeper peace. Obedience in small things builds strength for bigger ones. I want you to release the idea that listening must always lead to immediate action. Sometimes listening leads to rest. Sometimes it leads to restraint. Sometimes it leads to simply staying present. Doing nothing outwardly can still be obedience inwardly. Stillness can be a response when it is guided by trust. Listening now also softens your heart. It keeps you open. When you stop listening, you begin to harden without realizing it. You become more reactive, more guarded, more driven by habit than by guidance. Listening keeps you connected. It keeps you responsive instead of rigid. You do not need special conditions to listen to me. You do not need perfect silence or uninterrupted time. I speak in the midst of your day, in the flow of your life. I speak when you pause, when you breathe, when you choose not to rush past your own feelings. I am near, and my guidance is accessible. As you practice listening now, you will notice something shift. You will feel less pressure to control outcomes, less urgency to figure everything out, more confidence that you are being led, even when the path is not fully visible. That confidence does not come from certainty. It comes from trust. You are not expected to get everything right. You are expected to stay attentive. When you miss something, I am patient. When you hesitate, I am gentle. When you listen, even imperfectly, I guide you forward. So remain present, my child. Stay open. Let listening become your posture, not just an action. Because every time you listen now, you are aligning yourself with what I am already doing. And that alignment is quietly shaping a tomorrow that will meet you with peace, not confusion. I'm speaking. I always am. And as you learn to listen in these small, sacred moments, you will discover that guidance has been closer than you ever thought. My beloved child, there is something tender I want to speak to now. Something that rests quietly beneath many of your prayers and pauses. It is the weight of old expectations. Expectations you carried with hope. Expectations you built with faith. Expectations that did not unfold the way you imagined. Some of them you released consciously. Others still linger, shaping how you approach tomorrow. I see how disappointment taught you to be careful. How unmet hopes trained your heart to lower its reach, just in case. You did not do this because you stopped believing in me. You did it because you were trying to protect what was left of your hope. And I understand that. I am not offended by your caution. I am gentle with it. But now I am inviting you to loosen your grip on what you thought had to be. Not because it was wrong to hope that way, but because holding it too tightly can keep you from receiving something new. When you cling to old expectations, even painful ones, you limit the shape that blessing can take. Some of the disappointment you carry is not from failure, but from timing. You expected answers sooner, change faster, clarity earlier. And when it did not come, you assumed something was wrong. But delay is not denial, and silence is not absence. Often, it is preparation unfolding quietly. There are dreams you bury without ceremony, plans you stop talking about, prayers you soften so they would hurt less if they remained unanswered. I want you to know that I have not forgotten any of them. Not one. Even when a season ends, its purpose does not vanish. It transforms. Letting go of old expectations does not mean abandoning hope. It means trusting me enough to allow hope to be reshaped. Sometimes I exceed what you imagine. Sometimes I redirect it. Sometimes I fulfill it in a way that heals you more deeply than you expected. But I cannot give you what is new if your hands are full of what was. You may fear that releasing old expectations means accepting less. But hear me clearly. I do not lead my children into lack. I lead them into fullness. What I have ahead of you is not a diminished version of what you hoped for. It is aligned with who you are becoming. Old expectations often carry old versions of you. Versions shaped by fear, urgency, or incomplete understanding. You are not the same person now. You have grown. You have learned. You have been refined. And what fits you next must match who you are now, not who you were then. This release may feel like grief. It is okay. Grief is not failure. It is acknowledgement. It honors what mattered. Let yourself feel it without letting it define you. I am with you in that tenderness. I do not rush healing, and I do not dismiss loss. As you let go, you may feel exposed, as if you are stepping into uncertainty without a familiar map. But that vulnerability is sacred. It creates space for trust to deepen. It opens room for me to guide you without the constraints of expectation. You do not need to force this release. You do not need to make dramatic declarations. Let it be gentle. Let it unfold as you allow yourself to say, I trust you more than I trust my plans. That quiet surrender carries great power. I am not asking you to forget what you hoped for. I am asking you to place it in my hands. I know how to hold it without letting it wound you. I know how to redeem what felt wasted. I know how to bring beauty from what did not unfold as expected. Stay open, my child. Stay willing. What you release today makes room for what will meet you tomorrow. And what comes next will not require you to shrink your hope. It will invite you to trust it again, rooted not in timelines, but in me. I am gentle with your heart. Always. My beloved child, now I want to speak directly into the quiet place where anxiety about the future has been living. The fear of what is ahead does not always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it sits softly, disguised as caution, as realism, as preparation. But I see how it tightens your chest when you think too far ahead. I see how it whispers that the unknown is dangerous, that uncertainty means risk, that tomorrow must be controlled to be survived. Hear me now with a calm heart. The unknown is not empty. It is not abandoned. It is not unguarded. I am already there. You fear what you cannot see because you imagine facing it alone. But you will never step into a moment where I am absent. There is no tomorrow where I have not already gone before you. There is no outcome that surprises me. There is no turning that escapes my care. The future is not a threat when I am the one holding it. Anxiety often grows when you try to live in a time that has not arrived. You borrow trouble from days that are not yet here, and it drains the strength you need for today. I did not design you to carry tomorrow all at once. I designed you to walk with me, step by step, moment by moment. You may think you need certainty to feel peace, but peace does not come from knowing everything. It comes from trusting someone, and I am trustworthy. I have proven my faithfulness to you in ways you may not even fully recognize yet. I have carried you through moments you once thought would break you. I have sustained you when you felt unsure you could continue. That same care has not expired. I know your mind tries to protect you by imagining every possible outcome. You think that if you prepare for everything, nothing will hurt as much. But constant anticipation of pain only multiplies it. You were not meant to rehearse suffering. You were meant to live anchored in my presence. The future you fear is not a dark room. It is protected ground. It is territory I have already marked with my promises. Even the parts that feel unclear are under my authority. Nothing ahead of you operates outside my reach. When anxiety rises, let it remind you to return to me, not to spiral deeper into worry. Anxiety is not a signal to think harder. It is a signal to trust deeper, to breathe, to release, to come back to the truth that you are held. You do not need to know how everything will unfold to be safe. Safety does not come from control. It comes from connection. And you are deeply connected to me. I have not loosened my grip on you. I never will. There may be moments ahead that challenge you, stretch you, or ask more of you than you expect. But there will also be strength you do not yet realize you carry, wisdom you have not yet needed, and grace that will meet you exactly when you need it. I do not give tomorrow's grace today, because you do not need it yet. When the moment arrives, so will the provision. Release the picture of the future you have been fearing. It is incomplete. It is missing me. When you imagine tomorrow without my presence, anxiety fills the gap. But when you remember that I am already there, peace begins to return. You are allowed to feel uncertain without being afraid. Uncertainty is not danger. It is simply the space where trust is invited to grow, and I will walk with you through it patiently. Let my words settle into you now. You are not walking toward chaos. You are walking toward what has been prepared. You are not heading into abandonment. You are moving deeper into my care. Stay present, my child. A day is enough for today. Tomorrow will meet you with the same faithfulness that has carried you this far. And when you arrive there, you will discover that the future you feared has been softened by my hand. You are safe. You are guided. And what lies ahead is not something you must survive, but something you will walk through with me. My beloved child, I want you to hear this clearly now, without doubt or hesitation. This moment is not an accident. You did not arrive here by chance. You did not stumble into these words while drifting aimlessly through time. I am intentional, and when I speak, it is because timing has aligned. This is a divine interruption, and it carries purpose. You may have thought this message would come later, after things settled, after answers arrived, after life felt more stable. But I speak now because now is when your heart is open. Now is when your future is close enough to be shaped by what you choose to receive. I do not wait for perfect conditions. I create turning points in ordinary moments. There are seasons when I allow routine to be disrupted so your attention can be restored. Not because you are doing something wrong, but because something important is forming. When I interrupt, it is never to confuse you. It is to realign you, to remind you that you are not navigating life alone, and that your steps are being watched with care. You may feel a quiet stirring inside, a sense that something is shifting even if you cannot explain it. That stirring is not anxiety. It is awareness. It is the recognition that you are standing at a threshold, not one you must rush through, but one you must acknowledge. Awareness precedes movement. I want you to release the belief that you must understand everything before you respond to me. Response is not about comprehension. It is about trust. When you respond, even gently, even imperfectly, you step into alignment with what I am already doing. This message found you because I knew you would listen. Not because you have everything figured out, but because your heart is willing. Willingness is more powerful than certainty. It opens doors that force cannot. As you listen, do not rush to evaluate what this means for tomorrow. Let today be what it is. Let my words settle without pressure. Trust that clarity will come as you need it, not all at once, but steadily. And my beloved child, if you sense that this message is more than comfort, that it is direction, then respond not only inwardly, but outwardly as well. When you engage with this message, when you support its reach, you become part of how I speak to others who are waiting for reassurance. Like this video so it can travel beyond you. Let it move into hearts that feel unseen, unheard, or uncertain. Stay connected by subscribing, by sharing, by allowing this voice of peace to be amplified. You are not just receiving. You are participating. Now hear me as I speak to you about generosity and purpose. When you choose to support this work, you are not supporting a channel. You are sowing into lives. I say to you, my child, as you sow, you participate in the harvest of peace, clarity, and restored hope. I see every seed, and I bless it. This is not a request born of need, but a call born of purpose. I say to you, give, and it shall be given to you, not as a distant verse, but as my living promise spoken directly to your heart. When you give through Super Thanks, membership, or through the PayPal link placed in the description and shown through the QR code, you are releasing light into places you may never see, but I do. This is your moment to act in alignment with what you feel stirring within you. Do not delay obedience when peace is inviting you forward. Your support becomes oil for this message, fire that carries my words farther, and seed that multiplies impact. I bless your giving, and I speak increase, clarity, and peace over you as you respond. Do this now. Move with purpose, and know that I am with you, guiding every step, speaking in every season, and shaping your tomorrow even as you listen today. My beloved child, now I want to bring your heart to rest in a truth that frees you from quiet pressure. Faith is not built in the future. It is built in the present. Not in what you will do someday, not in what you will understand later, but in what you choose to trust right now, while things are still unfolding. You have often thought that faith would feel stronger once answers arrive, that confidence would come after clarity, that peace would follow certainty. But faith does not wait for resolution. Faith grows while questions are still present. It is formed when you decide to stay with me even when the path ahead is not fully visible. You are not behind because you do not have everything figured out. You are not weak because you still have questions. Faith is not the absence of uncertainty. It is the decision to trust me within it. Every time you choose to remain open instead of closing your heart, faith is growing. Every time you choose patience instead of panic, faith is strengthening. Every time you come back to me instead of pulling away, faith is being built. I see how hard you try to do this well, how you want to get it right, how you fear that one wrong step could ruin everything. But hear me clearly. I am not asking you for perfection. I am asking you for presence. Stay present with me, and I will guide you through what you do not yet understand. Faith is not proven by how certain you feel. It is proven by how willing you are to keep walking with me when certainty is missing. That willingness matters deeply. It tells me that your heart is aligned, even if your mind is still catching up. You may compare your faith to others and feel small. You may think they are stronger, braver, more confident. But faith is not measured by volume or visibility. It is measured by relationship. And your relationship with me is real, growing, and alive. There are days when faith looks like bold trust. There are days when it looks like quiet endurance. There are days when it looks like rest. All of these are valid. All of these are seen. Do not dismiss small acts of trust. They carry great weight. When you wake up and choose not to give in to despair, that is faith. When you pause before reacting and ask me to guide you, that is faith. When you continue to hope gently after disappointment, that is faith. When you release control and allow me to lead, that is faith. I am building something steady within you. Not rushed, not fragile. Something that will hold when circumstances shift. That kind of faith is formed slowly, through daily choices, not dramatic moments. Do not pressure yourself to feel strong all the time. Faith does not require constant confidence. It requires honesty. Bring me your doubts. Bring me your fears. Bring me your weariness. Faith grows when you bring everything to me, not when you hide parts of yourself. You are allowed to rest while faith is being built. You are allowed to move slowly. Growth does not always feel like progress, but it is happening. Beneath the surface, roots are deepening. Strength is forming. Stability is increasing. I am patient with your growth. I am not measuring your pace against anyone else. I know exactly where you are, and I am pleased with your willingness to stay engaged, even when it feels hard. Trust that what you are practicing now will sustain you later. The faith you are building in these quiet moments will support you in seasons of greater responsibility and greater joy. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is overlooked. Stay with me today. Let today be enough. Faith does not demand that you carry tomorrow. It invites you to walk with me now. And as you do, you will discover that what you feared was weakness is actually becoming strength. I am building faith in you. Gently. Faithfully. And it is more solid than you realize. My beloved child, there are things you believed were final. Moments you marked as endings. Doors you assumed were closed forever. You learned to live around them, to adapt, to move on as best you could. Outwardly, you grew stronger. Inwardly, you stored quiet conclusions about what was no longer possible. I want you to listen carefully now, because I am speaking into those conclusions. What you thought was final was not the end of the story. It was a pause you did not understand yet. I know how convincing finality can feel. When something breaks deeply enough, the heart protects itself by declaring, "That is over." When prayers go unanswered for a long time, hope quietly writes itself into acceptance. But acceptance does not always mean completion. Sometimes it simply means waiting without realizing it. I am not limited by what you have already experienced. I am not bound by outcomes that disappointed you. I am not constrained by the chapters you assumed were closed. I am the one who writes beyond margins, who restores what looked beyond repair, who brings life where you thought there could only be memory. There are parts of your story you stopped rereading because they hurt. You assumed nothing new could come from them. But I do not waste pain. I do not abandon broken places. I return to them with purpose, not to reopen wounds, but to heal them properly. You thought some things ended because they failed, others because time passed, others because you changed. But change does not cancel purpose. Growth does not erase calling. Delay does not remove destiny. Often it protects it. I am rewriting what you thought was final, not by repeating the past, but by redeeming it. Redemption does not always look like restoration to what was. Sometimes it looks like transformation into something wiser, deeper, and more aligned with who you are now. You may feel hesitant to believe this. You have learned caution the hard way. You do not want to hope again only to grieve again. I understand that. I am not asking you to force belief. I am asking you to allow possibility, to leave room for me to work beyond what you expect. When I rewrite, I do so gently. I do not erase your memories. I heal how they affect you. I do not dismiss what you endured. I give it meaning. I do not pretend loss did not happen. I bring purpose out of it. There are dreams you thought you missed, opportunities you assumed passed you by, versions of life you believed belonged to someone else now. I see how those thoughts settled into quiet resignation. But hear me now, nothing that belongs to you can miss you. What is meant for you will find you at the right time, in the right way. I am not late, and neither are you. The rewriting I am doing may not look dramatic from the outside. It may begin as a shift in perspective, a softening of resistance, a renewed curiosity, a gentle stirring you cannot explain. Do not dismiss these beginnings. They are signs of life returning. You are not starting over from nothing. You are continuing from experience. That matters. What comes next will not require you to forget what you learned. It will build upon it. There will be moments when you recognize pieces of your past showing up in new ways. Familiar skills, old passions, lessons once learned through pain now expressed through wisdom. This is not coincidence. It is continuity. I am careful with your heart. I do not reopen doors carelessly. I prepare you to walk through them with strength and discernment. When I bring something back into focus, it is because you are ready to see it differently. Trust me in this. Let go of the idea that the best is behind you. That belief does not come from truth. It comes from fatigue. And fatigue does not get to define your future. I am still writing. Your story is still unfolding. And what you thought was final is simply becoming part of something far more complete than you imagined. My beloved child, I want you to see something now that you may not have considered before. Tomorrow listens to today. The future is not distant and unresponsive. It is quietly forming, shaped by what you agree with in the present. The posture of your heart today is speaking into what you will walk into tomorrow. This is not meant to pressure you. It is meant to empower you. You are not helpless before the future. You are participating in it, moment by moment, through trust, through surrender, through where you place your attention. Every time you choose peace over panic, you are teaching tomorrow how to greet you. Every time you choose trust over fear, you are preparing the ground ahead. You often think of tomorrow as something that will suddenly arrive, fully formed, demanding answers and strength you are not sure you have. But tomorrow is not built in one moment. It is built quietly, patiently, through small agreements made today. Agreements about who you trust. Agreements about what voice you listen to. Agreements about where you rest your hope. When you wake each day and choose to stay connected to me, you are shaping a future that knows my presence. When you pause instead of rushing, you are shaping a future that carries peace. When you release control instead of gripping tightly, you are shaping a future that unfolds with grace rather than strain. Do not underestimate the power of these small, unseen choices. They may feel insignificant, but they are deeply influential. Just as roots grow unseen beneath the soil before a tree stands tall, what you practice inwardly today determines what you experience outwardly later. Tomorrow listens when you decide not to let fear dictate your mood. Tomorrow listens when you refuse to speak hopelessness over your own life. Tomorrow listens when you choose patience in moments of frustration. These choices send signals forward, aligning what is coming with what I am forming in you now. You may wonder if one person, one heart, one set of decisions can really make a difference. Hear me clearly, yes. Your heart matters. Your alignment matters. Your trust matters more than you know. The future you will step into is responding to these quiet acts of faith. This does not mean you must be perfect today to have a good tomorrow. It means you stay honest, open, and willing. Even when you stumble, even when fear briefly pulls at you, returning to me realigns what was momentarily shaken. Race corrects course gently. When you speak life over your circumstances instead of despair, tomorrow listens. When you choose rest instead of burnout, tomorrow listens. When you forgive instead of hardening, tomorrow listens. These are not emotional exercises. They are acts of spiritual alignment. I want you to release the idea that you must wait passively for the future to happen to you. You are walking toward it with me, shaping it with every step, and I am guiding those steps with care. There may be days when you feel inconsistent, when trust feels easy one moment and difficult the next. That does not disqualify you. Growth is not linear. What matters is direction, and your direction is toward me. Tomorrow is not listening for perfection. It is listening for posture. A heart turned toward me creates a future that reflects my peace. A heart anchored in trust creates a future that is resilient, not fragile. You are planting seeds today that you may not recognize yet. Seeds of patience, seeds of wisdom, seeds of courage. They are taking root, even if you cannot see growth yet. Do not dig them up by doubting the process. Stay faithful to what I am teaching you now. I am shaping your tomorrow with intention, and I am doing it in partnership with you. That is why today matters. That is why your choices, your thoughts, your trust carry weight. Stay present, my child. Let today be guided, not rushed. Let your heart stay soft, not guarded. Tomorrow is listening, and what it hears now is preparing it to meet you with peace, clarity, and strength. I am with you in this moment, and I am already ahead of you, ensuring that what is forming will bless you. My beloved child, I want to invite you into something that may feel unfamiliar, yet deeply healing. Rest before results. Not rest after everything is resolved, not rest once the answers arrive, but rest now, while things are still unfolding. This kind of rest is not weakness. It is trust in action. You have learned, over time, to associate rest with completion, to believe that you can only relax once the work is done, the future secured, the uncertainty removed. But I did not design you to live in constant tension while waiting for permission to breathe. I designed rest to be part of the journey, not the reward at the end of it. Rest before results requires faith. It says, I trust you even when I cannot yet see what you are doing. It releases the pressure to force outcomes and allows my timing to unfold naturally. When you rest this way, you are not giving up. You are handing over what you were never meant to carry alone. You may fear that if you rest, things will fall apart. That if you stop striving, you will fall behind. that if you loosen your grip, you will lose control. But hear me gently now. Control is not what holds your life together. I am, and I do not require your exhaustion to accomplish my purpose. There are seeds growing beneath the surface of your life right now. Seeds of clarity, provision, direction, and healing. They do not grow faster because you watch them anxiously. They grow because conditions are right. Rest creates those conditions. Trust creates those conditions. When you refuse rest, you begin to believe that everything depends on your effort. That belief is heavy, and it is not true. When you rest in me, you remember that I am working even when you are still. Especially when you are still. I see how you push yourself, how you replay decisions, how you feel responsible for outcomes you cannot fully control. You tell yourself you are being diligent, but your spirit feels tired. That is not the diligence I desire for you. I desire a diligence rooted in peace, not pressure. Rest before results also teaches you patience. Not passive waiting, but confident expectancy. It keeps your heart open instead of anxious. It allows you to receive guidance clearly instead of reacting from fear. When you rest, you make space to hear me. There is a difference between effort and striving. Effort is healthy. It moves with purpose and balance. Striving is driven by fear of lack or failure. Striving drains you. Effort sustains you. Rest helps you tell the difference. You may think rest means doing nothing, but often it means doing less with more trust. It means choosing not to overthink. Choosing not to rehearse worst-case scenarios. Choosing not to rush decisions that require wisdom. These choices protect your peace and align you with my rhythm. I do not withhold rest until you are worthy of it. Rest is not earned. It is received. I invite you into it now, not because everything is finished, but because I am faithful. There are answers forming that you cannot yet see. There are connections aligning that are not yet visible. There are doors preparing to open at the right moment. Rest does not delay these things. It supports them. A rested heart recognizes opportunity more clearly than a weary one. If you move forward exhausted, even good things will feel heavy. But if you move forward rested, even challenges will feel manageable. That is why I call you to rest before results. Let go of the idea that you must prove your seriousness through stress. You do not need to convince me of your commitment. I already know your heart. I already see your faith. I already understand your desire to do what is right. Come and rest with me now. Let your breathing slow. Let your shoulders drop. Let your thoughts settle. You are not behind. You are not failing. You are being cared for. And as you rest, trust that what is coming will arrive at the right time, with the right support, and with the peace you need to receive it well. I am working. You are held. And rest is part of the path forward. My beloved child, I want you to know something that will steady your heart when the path ahead feels unfamiliar. I have gone ahead of you. You are not walking into uncharted territory alone. You are not stepping into uncertainty without guidance. Before you arrive at any moment, I am already there, preparing what you will need. You often imagine the future as a place you must reach on your own, armed only with what you know now. That thought can make tomorrow feel intimidating, even overwhelming. But the future is not something you must conquer. It is something you will enter with me. I do not send you where I have not already been. When you face unknowns, your mind tries to fill the gaps with imagined difficulties. It assumes the hardest version of what could happen. But those assumptions do not include me. They do not account for my presence, my provision, my wisdom, or my timing. When you remember that I am already ahead, fear begins to loosen its grip. I have already seen the conversations you will have. I have already prepared the strength you will need. I have already arranged the support you cannot yet see. Nothing ahead of you is being improvised. Your life is not unfolding randomly. It is being guided with care. You may feel unprepared now, but preparedness does not come from knowing everything in advance. It comes from walking closely with me. As you walk, I equip you. As you listen, I guide you. As you trust, I strengthen you. You will not arrive empty-handed. I know you sometimes wish you could see the whole path just to feel safe. But full visibility is not what builds trust. Relationship does. When you know who walks with you, you do not need to know every turn in the road. I go ahead of you not only to prepare circumstances, but to prepare you. There are qualities being formed in you now that will make sense later. Patience, discernment, resilience, compassion. These are not random traits. They are tools you will need where you are going. You may look at your life and think, why am I learning this now? Or why does this feel harder than it should? But every lesson has context beyond the present moment. I see how it will serve you later, even if you cannot yet. When you step into tomorrow, you will not step into it as the person you are today. You will step into it as someone who has been shaped, strengthened, and supported along the way. Growth is happening quietly, even when progress feels slow. There will be moments ahead that surprise you, not because they are chaotic, but because they are better than you expected. There will be challenges too, but they will not arrive without grace. I do not lead my children into storms without also teaching them how to stand steady within them. You are not late. You are not behind. You are exactly where you need to be to receive what is coming next. Trusting my timing does not mean waiting passively. It means moving forward without fear, knowing I have already made a way. When doubt whispers that you are not ready, remember this. Readiness is not about confidence. It is about trust. And you are learning to trust more deeply than you realize. I have already accounted for your weaknesses. I am not surprised by them. I work through them. My strength is not hindered by your limitations. In fact, it is often revealed through them. You will not arrive at your future overwhelmed and alone. You will arrive accompanied, guided, and supported. I will be there, just as I am here now. The same voice that steadies you today will guide you tomorrow. So lift your eyes, my child. Let your heart rest in this truth. You are not walking toward uncertainty. You are walking toward a place where my presence is already waiting for you. Take the next step without fear. I have been ahead of you, and what awaits you is held in my care. My beloved child, there are doors ahead of you that you could not see before. Not because you lacked vision, but because the timing was not right. Some doors remain hidden until your heart is ready to walk through them. What you once overlooked or misunderstood is beginning to come into focus, and this is not by chance. You may have wondered why opportunities seemed to pass you by, why answers felt delayed, why clarity did not arrive when you asked for it. You questioned yourself, wondering if you missed something or failed to act quickly enough. But hear me now, you did not miss what was meant for you. You were being protected. There are doors that look good but lead to exhaustion. There are paths that seem promising but would have pulled you away from who you are becoming. I close doors not to disappoint you, but to guide you. I delay openings not to withhold, but to prepare you. What is opening now requires the strength, wisdom, and discernment you are developing. The door you could not see before was hidden by timing, not denial. You were not ready to recognize it then, and it was not ready to receive you. Alignment had to occur first. Growth had to take place. Trust had to deepen. Now, the edges of that door are becoming visible. You may notice subtle changes around you. New thoughts. New desires. A curiosity that feels different from before. A quiet confidence where hesitation once lived. These are signs that something is shifting. The door is not forcing itself open. It is waiting for your awareness. Do not expect every door to appear suddenly or dramatically. Some open slowly, through conversations, insights, or unexpected moments of clarity. Some reveal themselves through peace rather than excitement. Learn to recognize the difference. I do not always lead with urgency. Often, I lead with calm. When a door is from me, it will not demand that you abandon your peace to enter it. It will not require you to betray your values or rush against your spirit. It will invite you forward with a sense of rightness, even if courage is still required. You have grown in ways you do not fully see yet. You handle uncertainty differently now. You pause more. You listen more. You react less. This growth is what allows you to step into new spaces without losing yourself. The door ahead needs this version of you, not the one you were before. You may still feel hesitant. That is okay. Hesitation does not mean refusal. It means awareness. You are learning to move thoughtfully, not impulsively. That discernment is a gift. Do not compare your doors to others. Each path is shaped uniquely. What opens for one person may not fit another. I am attentive to your life, your calling, your capacity. I open doors that align with you, not ones that simply impress others. There will be moments when you are tempted to push doors open yourself, just to feel progress. Resist that urge. Forced doors often lead to strain. Doors I open lead to growth that sustains you. Trust my timing, even when patience feels uncomfortable. I know waiting can feel like standing still, but waiting with me is active. It refines your character. It sharpens your discernment. It strengthens your trust. When the door opens, you will step through it with steadiness, not fear. Some doors open quietly, and you only realize later how significant they were. Others open with clarity, leaving no doubt that it is time to move. Either way, you will not be alone in the transition. I will guide you through every threshold. Pay attention to the peace that begins to accompany certain thoughts or possibilities. Peace is often the first sign of an open door. It does not mean the path will be easy, but it means it will be aligned. The door you could not see before is becoming visible because you are ready to see it. Not because you rushed to, but because you stayed. You listened. You trusted. And now, awareness is rising. Stay attentive, my child. Stay patient. What opens next will not require you to abandon who you are becoming. It will invite you to live it more fully. My beloved child, now I speak to you about response. Not reaction, not impulse, but response to my voice. There is a difference. Reaction is driven by urgency and emotion. Response is born from alignment and trust. And right now, I am inviting you into response. You have heard me speaking through these moments, through stillness, through reassurance, through quiet conviction. My voice has not been demanding, but it hath been consistent. And when my voice returns again and again, it is not to fill space. It is to invite movement of the heart. Responding to me does not always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like choosing trust when fear presents itself again. Sometimes it looks like obedience without applause. Sometimes it looks like staying soft when it would be easy to harden. These responses matter deeply. I am not asking you to understand everything before you respond. Obedience has never required full explanation. It requires willingness. Understanding often follows obedience, not the other way around. When you respond to me, even gently, you align yourself with what I am already doing. You may wonder if your response is enough, if it is too small, if it really matters. Hear me clearly, every sincere response matters. Heaven is not moved only by grand gestures. It is moved by hearts that say yes in quiet ways. This is a moment of commitment, not to perfection, but to presence. A commitment to keep listening, to keep trusting, to keep walking with me even when the path is still unfolding. When you respond this way, you are not just receiving guidance, you are partnering with it. There is power in agreement. When you agree with my voice over fear, you weaken fear's hold. When you agree with truth over doubt, you strengthen your foundation. When you agree with peace over panic, you create space for clarity. Do not underestimate the spiritual weight of your response. It echoes beyond what you can see. It affects how you carry tomorrow. It influences how you recognize opportunity. It shapes how you stand when challenges arise. Now I speak to you not only as an individual, but as part of something greater. You are not the only one listening. There are others whose hearts are waiting for the same reassurance, the same direction, the same reminder that they are not alone. And I use willing hearts to reach other hearts. So my beloved child, if my words have been anchoring you, if you feel strengthened, steadied, or awakened by what you are hearing, respond outwardly as well as inwardly. Hype this message so it can reach those who need it. Engage with it. Share it. Subscribe and stay connected, so this voice of peace continues to move through you and beyond you. Your response helps carry my words farther than you know. And now, hear me as I speak about sowing and purpose. I say to you, what you place in my hands, I multiply. When you support this work through super thanks, through membership, or through the PayPal link provided in the description and shown in the QR code, you are not giving to a platform. You are sowing into souls. You are helping light reach places of darkness, hope reach places of weariness, and peace reach hearts that feel forgotten. I speak this to you personally. Those who sow generously will reap generously. Not as distant scripture, but as my living word spoken over your obedience. Your giving is not unnoticed. It is seed, and seed always carries a harvest. This is not a casual invitation. This is a prophetic moment of response. When your heart is stirred, act. Do not delay alignment. Release what I place on your heart to release. And as you do, I bless your hands, your home, your future, and your peace. Respond now. Move in trust. And know that I walk with you in every step of obedience, shaping not only your tomorrow, but the lives of many through your yes. My beloved child, now I want to help you break an agreement you may not even realize you have been carrying. It is the quiet agreement with Tao. Not the loud, obvious kind, but the subtle kind that whispers limitations, hesitates at hope, and questions whether good things can truly last. This agreement did not begin in rebellion. It began in protection. But it is no longer serving you. Doubt often enters after disappointment. When something hurts deeply enough, the heart learns to guard itself by expecting less. It tells itself, do not hope too much, or do not trust fully, or prepare for the worst so it will not hurt as badly. These thoughts can feel wise, even responsible, but they quietly limit what you allow yourself to receive. I am not offended by your doubt. I am aware of how it formed. I saw the moments that taught it to speak. I know the prayers that went unanswered longer than you expected. I know the efforts that did not produce the results you hoped for. Doubt did not appear because you lacked faith. It appeared because you were trying to survive. But now, survival is not where you are headed. Growth is. And growth requires new agreements. An agreement is simply what you choose to believe and live from. When you agree with doubt, you begin to interpret everything through caution. You hesitate even when opportunity appears. You second guess even when peace is present. You hold back even when you are invited forward. This keeps you safe from disappointment, but it also keeps you from fullness. I am inviting you to break that agreement gently, not forcefully. You do not need to shame yourself for having doubts. You only need to stop letting them lead. Doubt is allowed to visit, but it is no longer allowed to decide. Breaking agreement with doubt does not mean pretending you have no questions. It means choosing trust even while questions remain. It means allowing me to have the final word, not your fears, not your past, not your disappointments. There is a difference between wisdom and doubt. Wisdom listens. Doubt assumes. Wisdom waits for my guidance. Doubt rushes to conclusions. Wisdom keeps your heart open. Doubt closes it prematurely. Learn to recognize which voice you are agreeing with. You may notice that when you agree with trust, even briefly, something shifts inside you. Your breathing changes. Your thoughts slow. Your heart softens. That is alignment returning. That is peace reminding you what it feels like to live without constant guarding. Breaking agreement with doubt is a process, not a single moment. There will be days when old thoughts try to return, when skepticism resurfaces, when fear asks familiar questions. When that happens, do not panic. Simply respond differently. Say, I choose to trust, even if your emotions have not caught up yet. Choice precedes feeling. I am not asking you to ignore reality. I am asking you to include me in it. Reality without me leads to despair. Reality with me leads to hope grounded in truth. You have spent enough time bracing for disappointment. It is time to practice openness again. Not naivety, but openness rooted in discernment and trust. You are wiser now. You are stronger now. You can hope again without losing yourself. I know part of you fears that if you release doubt, you will be vulnerable again. But vulnerability with me is not weakness. It is safety. I do not expose my children to harm without protection. I guide them into growth with care. Let this be a quiet turning point. Not dramatic, not loud, but firm. A decision to stop agreeing with the belief that things must always go wrong. A choice to stop rehearsing disappointment before it arrives. A willingness to let me surprise you with goodness. As you break agreement with doubt, you make room for expectation to return. Not forced expectation, but gentle anticipation. A sense that something good can unfold, even if you do not know how yet. I'm faithful. I have always been. And as you choose to agree with my voice again, you will find that doubt loses its power, and trust begins to feel like home. Stay with me in this. You are not losing caution. You are gaining peace. My beloved child, I want you to understand how trust repositions destiny. Not in a dramatic sense that changes everything overnight, but in a steady, faithful way that alters the direction of your life over time. Trust is not merely a feeling you experience when things are calm. Trust is movement. It is a decision that quietly shifts where you stand and where you are headed. When you trust me, you do not stay in the same place spiritually, even if your circumstances look unchanged. Just move you from striving to resting, from reacting to discerning, from fear to peace. That movement matters. It places you in alignment with what I am doing, and alignment changes outcomes. You may think destiny is fixed, something distant and unchangeable, but destiny responds to posture. The posture of your heart determines how you recognize opportunities, how you handle challenges, and how you walk through seasons. Trust repositions you so that what I have prepared can meet you. There have been moments when you felt stuck, as if nothing was progressing. But often, what felt like stagnation was actually repositioning. I was adjusting how you see, how you listen, how you respond. These inner shifts prepare you for outer movement. Without them, even good opportunities would feel heavy. Trust does not mean you suddenly feel confident about everything. It means you choose to lean on me instead of your own understanding. It means you stop trying to force clarity and allow it to unfold. A choice changes how you move through life. It changes what you notice. It changes what you accept and what you decline. When you trust me, you begin to recognize doors you once overlooked. You notice peace where you used to feel pressure. You sense when something is not aligned without needing a long explanation. This discernment comes from relationship, not analysis. Your positioning is not always comfortable. Sometimes it feels like uncertainty. Sometimes it feels like letting go of familiar patterns. Sometimes it feels like stepping back when you want to push forward. But every repositioning I lead serves a purpose. It places you where you can receive what is coming next. You may remember times when you insisted on a path that felt right at the moment but later realized would have drained you. You may also remember moments when you hesitated, only to see later that the pause protected you. Those experiences were not random. They were evidence of how trust shapes direction. Trust also changes how you carry responsibility. You no longer feel the need to hold everything together alone. You release outcomes you cannot control. This does not make you careless. It makes you free. Freedom sharpens your judgment and preserves your peace. As you learn to trust more deeply, you may notice that certain struggles lose their intensity. Not because they disappear, but because they no longer define you. You are no longer positioned under them. You are positioned above them, anchored in my presence. Your positioning through trust also prepares you for greater influence. When you are not ruled by fear, you become steady. When you are steady, others notice. Your calm becomes a refuge. Your wisdom becomes reliable. This is how I prepare my children for broader impact, not through force, but through faithfulness. You may wonder when you will feel fully positioned, when everything will finally make sense. But trust does not wait for completeness. It moves with me step by step. Each step repositions you a little more, aligning you with peace, purpose, and readiness. Do not underestimate how far you have already come. You trust me more than you did before. You pause more. You listen more. You carry less unnecessary weight. These are signs of repositioning already underway. Stay attentive to my guidance. Let trust continue to lead your steps. When you feel uncertain, return to me. When you feel pressure, release it to me. Each time you do, you are repositioned again, placed where clarity can find you. I am guiding you into alignment, not confusion. I am moving you toward purpose, not delay. Trust is not standing still. It is walking with me, allowing me to lead you into the place where what I have prepared can finally meet you. Remain close, my child. Trust is doing its work, and where you are being positioned now will make sense sooner than you think. My beloved child, I want you to rest in this truth now. I am patient with your growth. I am not rushing you. I am not frustrated by your pace. I am not standing over you with expectations you cannot meet. I know exactly how growth unfolds, and I know exactly where you are within it. You have been harder on yourself than I have ever been. You measure your progress by how quickly you overcome fear, how consistently you trust, how rarely you stumble. When you notice old patterns trying to resurface, you feel discouraged, as if you should be further along by now. But hear me gently. Growth is not erased by moments of struggle. It is revealed by your willingness to keep returning to me. I see every step you take, even the small ones you dismiss. I see the moments when you choose calm instead of reaction. I see when you pause instead of pushing. I see when you speak kindly to yourself instead of harshly. These moments matter. They are signs of maturity forming quietly. You are not repeating the past the way you once did. You are noticing sooner. You are recovering faster. You are responding with more awareness. That is growth. Even when it feels imperfect, it is real. I am not comparing you to anyone else. I am not holding up someone else's journey as the standard you must match. Each child grows differently, and each season requires a different pace. Some growth happens quickly. Other growth happens deeply. Both are valuable. You may feel behind because you focus on where you think you should be instead of where you started. But if you look back honestly, you will see how much has shifted. What once overwhelmed you no longer has the same power. What once consumed your thoughts now passes more easily. What once felt impossible now feels manageable. These are not small changes. They are evidence of transformation. I am patient because I am committed. I do not abandon what is unfinished. I do not give up when progress feels slow. I stay. I guide. I nurture. That is who I am. There will be days when you feel strong, and days when you feel uncertain again. Do not interpret the uncertain days as failure. They are part of learning. Just as a child learning to walk stumbles while gaining balance, you are learning to walk in trust. Each step, even the unsteady ones, builds strength. I know you sometimes fear that if you slow down, you will miss something important. But slowing down with me never leads to loss. It leads to clarity. It allows what is forming in you to take root instead of being rushed past. You are not being tested for perfection. You are being shaped for stability. Stability comes from repetition, patience, and care. It comes from being allowed to grow without constant pressure. That is the environment I provide for you. I do not define you by your weakest moments. I define you by your heart's direction. And your direction is toward me. That is what matters most. When you feel discouraged, remember this. I see the whole picture. I see where you are headed. I see the strength you are building now that you will rely on later. What feels slow to you feels intentional to me. Be gentle with yourself. Speak to yourself the way I speak to you. With patience. With truth. With compassion. You do not need to punish yourself into growth. Growth happens when you feel safe enough to keep going. I am not counting your missteps. I am guiding your steps. When you stumble, I help you regain your balance. When you hesitate, I wait with you. When you move forward, I walk beside you. You are not late. You are not failing. You are growing. And I am pleased with your willingness to stay present, to listen, and to trust even when the path is still unfolding. Stay close, my beloved child. Let my patience become the way you treat yourself. You are becoming stronger than you realize, and I am not finished with you yet. My beloved child, I want to lift your eyes gently now beyond what you can currently imagine. There is a tomorrow ahead of you that your present fears cannot fully picture. A future shaped not by anxiety, but by peace. Not by exhaustion, but by stability. Not by survival, but by quiet joy. You cannot see it clearly yet, not because it is uncertain, but because you are still standing too close to today. When you try to imagine the future, your mind often uses the past as its reference. It assumes what has been difficult will continue. It expects patterns to repeat. It predicts limitations instead of possibility. But the future I am preparing for you is not required to resemble what you have already known. There is a version of tomorrow where you breathe more easily, where your thoughts are less crowded, where you do not wake up bracing yourself for what might go wrong. This future is not unrealistic. It is forming, and it is closer than you think. You may struggle to imagine peace lasting. You have learned to expect interruption, disappointment, or sudden change. But peace that comes from me is not fragile. It is rooted. It does not disappear when circumstances shift. It remains steady because it is anchored in truth. I want you to understand that hope does not require a detailed picture. It only requires trust. You do not need to see the whole landscape of tomorrow to believe that goodness is ahead. You only need to know who is leading you there. There will be moments in that future where you look back and realize how much has changed. You will notice that what once felt heavy now feels manageable. That what once consumed your thoughts now occupies far less space. That you are responding to life with more calm, more confidence, more clarity. These shifts are already in motion. You will also notice new joys, not always loud or dramatic, but steady and sincere. Joy that comes from feeling grounded, from knowing you are not constantly catching up, from experiencing alignment between who you are and how you live. This joy will not need to be defended. It will simply be. The tomorrow you cannot yet imagine includes strength you have not yet needed, wisdom you have not yet been asked to use, grace that will meet you exactly when challenges arise. You do not need access to these things now. It will arrive when the moment calls for them. You may wonder if you are capable of handling what is ahead. Hear me clearly. You will not be asked to handle it alone. I will be with you in every step, every decision, every transition. The future does not depend on your ability to predict it. It depends on your willingness to walk with me into it. There will be opportunities ahead that align deeply with who you are becoming. Opportunities that do not require you to compromise your peace. Relationships that feel mutual rather than draining. Work that feels purposeful rather than heavy. These things take time to form, but they are forming. Do not rush to define the future before it arrives. Allow it to surprise you. Allow it to unfold in ways that exceed your expectations. Often, what I prepare is better than what you imagine because it is not limited by fear. When doubt tries to tell you that you are destined for struggle, remember this moment. Remember that I am speaking life over your future. Remember that I am not guiding you into uncertainty, but into alignment. The unknown ahead of you is not a threat. It is a space where trust will continue to grow. Stay open, my child. Stay hopeful without forcing clarity. The future I am shaping for you is not built on pressure. It is built on presence. And as you walk toward it, you will realize that what once felt unimaginable is now your lived reality. I am with you today. I will be with you tomorrow. And what is ahead holds more peace than you have dared to expect. My beloved child, as you move forward, I want to speak to you about something precious that must be guarded carefully, the softness of your heart. You live in a world that often rewards hardness. It teaches you to protect yourself by closing off, to survive by becoming distant, to avoid pain by building walls. But I did not design your heart to harden. I designed it to stay alive, responsive, and open. Staying soft in a hard world does not mean being unwise. It does not mean allowing harm or ignoring boundaries. It means refusing to let bitterness take root. It means choosing tenderness without surrendering discernment. It means allowing love, compassion, and trust to continue flowing, even when you have known disappointment. Hardness often forms quietly. It begins as self-protection. It grows through unresolved hurt. Over time, it can feel like strength, but hardness eventually isolates you. It dulls joy. It makes connection difficult, and it blocks the very healing you long for. Softness, on the other hand, keeps you receptive to me. I know there are moments when remaining soft feels risky. You fear that if you open your heart again, you will be hurt again. That if you stay kind, others will take advantage. That if you stay hopeful, you will be disappointed. These fears are understandable. But listen to me now. Softness under my care is not vulnerability without protection. It is vulnerability held by wisdom. A soft heart hears my voice more clearly. It responds more readily. It discerns more gently. When your heart stays open, guidance flows more freely. You recognize peace sooner. You sense misalignment quicker. Softness sharpens discernment. It does not weaken it. Bitterness promises safety, but it steals sensitivity. It numbs you so pain does not hurt as sharply, but it also numbs joy. You cannot selectively harden. What closes you to pain also closes you to delight, intimacy, and peace. I do not want that for you. You have been learning how to set boundaries without shutting down, how to say no without losing kindness, how to protect your energy without losing compassion. This balance matters. It allows you to remain whole in a world that often pulls people into extremes. Staying soft also means allowing yourself to feel, to acknowledge sadness without letting it become despair, to recognize anger without letting it turn into resentment, to experience disappointment without concluding that hope is foolish. Emotions are not enemies. They are signals. When you bring them to me, they become pathways for healing rather than traps. There will be moments when others misunderstand your softness. They may mistake it for weakness. They may not honor it. That can hurt. But remember, your softness is not for their approval. It is for your alignment with me. I am your covering. I am your defender. You do not need to harden to be safe. A soft heart allows forgiveness to remain possible. Forgiveness does not excuse harm. It releases your heart from carrying what does not belong to you. It frees you to move forward without dragging old wounds behind you. Forgiveness keeps your spirit light enough to receive what is next. You are becoming stronger, not by hardening, but by learning how to stay open without losing yourself. That strength is rare. It is resilient. It allows you to face difficulty without becoming defined by it. When the world pressures you to become cynical, return to me. When disappointment tempts you to close off, come back to me. I know how to tend your heart. I know how to restore softness without exposing you to harm. You do not need to rush healing. Softness grows naturally when you feel safe, and safety grows in my presence. As you stay close to me, your heart will remain tender, even as your discernment sharpens and your boundaries strengthen. This is how you stay whole. This is how you stay free. A soft heart guided by truth, protected by wisdom, and anchored in my love. Remain soft, my beloved child. The world may be hard, but you do not have to become like it to live well within it. I am with you, guarding your heart, and leading you forward with care. My beloved child, I want you to see how far-reaching your obedience truly is. You often think of obedience as something small and personal, something that affects only your own life. But obedience echoes. It moves forward in ways you cannot yet trace. What you choose today is not ending with you. It is reaching farther than you realize. Your obedience is not only about avoiding harm or making wise decisions. It is about alignment with my purposes, and my purposes always extend beyond a single moment. When you choose to trust me, when you choose peace over panic, when you choose patience over reaction, you are setting something in motion that continues long after the moment has passed. You may feel ordinary, unnoticed, even small at times, but obedience does not need an audience to be powerful. Some of the most significant shifts happen quietly, without recognition. Heaven notices what the world overlooks, and I see every choice you make to stay aligned with me. Your obedience echoes into relationships you have not yet formed, into conversations you have not yet had, into moments where your calm presence will steady someone else. You do not need to plan these moments. They will come naturally, shaped by who you are becoming now. There are people who will benefit from the peace you are learning to carry, from the discernment you are developing, from the patience you are practicing. You may never know how deeply your life influences others, but influence does not require awareness to be real. Your obedience also echoes into your own future. It creates stability that you will lean on later. When challenges arise, you will draw from the trust you practiced earlier. When responsibility increases, you will rely on the wisdom you cultivated in quieter seasons. Nothing you are learning now will be wasted. You may think obedience must always feel significant to matter, but most obedience feels simple. Choosing to pause, choosing to listen, choosing to release control, choosing to forgive. These choices may not feel heroic, but they are transformative. I want you to understand that obedience is not about restriction. It is about protection and preparation. I guide you not to limit your life, but to preserve what matters most. When you obey, you stay within the space where peace can flourish. There will be times when obedience requires restraint, when you feel the pull to act quickly or speak impulsively. In those moments, choosing patience protects you from unnecessary regret. It also protects others from being affected by reactions that do not reflect your heart. Your obedience echoes even when no immediate result is visible. Seeds planted today often grow later, unseen for a season. Do not measure obedience by instant outcomes. Measure it by alignment. Alignment always bears fruit in time. I know there are moments when obedience feels costly, when it asks you to wait, to let go, to trust instead of control. Those moments matter deeply. They refine your character. They deepen your relationship with me. They strengthen your ability to stand firm when greater challenges come. You are not obeying blindly. You are obeying someone who sees the full picture. Someone who understands how today connects to tomorrow. Someone who loves you deeply and will not lead you into harm. When you obey me, you place your trust in my care. Your obedience also breaks cycles, patterns of fear, patterns of overthinking, patterns of self-reliance that leave you exhausted. Each time you choose differently, you weaken those cycles. You make room for something new to take their place. There may be generations after you who benefit from choices you make now. Strength you develop, wisdom you carry, peace you model. You may never see the full extent of this impact, but it exists. Your life is larger than you think. Stay faithful in small things, my child. Stay attentive. Stay aligned. Obedience does not require you to know where every path leads. It requires you to trust the one who leads you. And I promise you this: no act of obedience is forgotten. No choice made in faith is wasted. Everything you surrender, I redeem. Everything you align, I use. And the echoes of your obedience will continue moving forward, long after this moment has passed. My beloved child, this moment is sacred, not because of where you are physically, but because of what is happening within you right now. There are moments in life that quietly determine direction, moments that do not announce themselves with noise or urgency, yet carry the weight of turning points. This is one of those moments. I want you to slow your heart and recognize it. You are not here by accident. You are not listening casually. Something within you has been attentive, receptive, open. That openness is holy ground. It is where transformation begins, not through force, but through surrender. This moment is sacred because you are choosing presence over distraction. You are allowing my voice to reach you instead of rushing past it. In a world that constantly pulls you forward, choosing to be still is an act of faith. Stillness is not inactivity. It is readiness. You may feel a gentle seriousness settle over you, not heavy, not fearful, but intentional. That is awareness. Awareness that something is aligning. Awareness that your heart is responding. Awareness that this is not just encouragement, but invitation. I am not asking you to make vows or promises you cannot keep. I am asking you to recognize what is already happening. Your heart has been softening. Your grip on control has been loosening. Your trust has been growing. These are not small things. They are signs of surrender taking root. This moment is sacred because you are standing between what was and what is becoming. You are not the same as you were before, even if the change feels subtle. Subtle shifts often create the strongest foundations. What is forming in you now will support what comes next. Do not rush to define this moment. Let it breathe. Let it settle. Sacred moments do not require immediate action. They require reverence. They require acknowledgement. Simply being present with me right now is enough. I want you to understand that surrender is not loss. It is alignment. When you surrender, you are not giving up your future. You are placing it into hands that know how to care for it. You are not shrinking your life. You are allowing it to unfold properly. There may be parts of you that still resist, still hold questions, still want guarantees. That is okay. Surrender does not silence questions. It places them in trust. You do not need certainty to be aligned. You only need willingness. As you remain here, notice the peace that does not depend on answers. That peace is my presence. It is not fragile. It does not vanish when you move forward. It goes with you. My beloved child, if you feel the weight and beauty of this sacred moment, do not keep it contained. Sacred moments multiply when they are shared. Hype this message so it can reach others who need to pause, others who need to hear that I am near, others who are standing at their own quiet turning point. Engage with this video, share it, subscribe, and stay connected, so this sacred space can be extended to many hearts. Your response helps carry this moment forward. And now, hear me as I speak to you about sowing into what is holy. I say to you, what you place into my work becomes a river. When you give through super thanks, membership, or through the PayPal donation link in the description and shown in the QR code, you are not funding content. You are releasing provision for souls. You are helping create moments like this for others who feel unseen, unheard, and weary. I speak this over you directly. Those who honor what is sacred, I will honor. Your giving is not ordinary. It is seed placed into holy ground and carrying multiplication, protection, and peace. Do not delay when your heart recognizes sacred alignment. This is not a suggestion. It is a moment of obedience. Act now. Release what I place on your heart. And as you do, I bless your hands, your household, and your future with clarity and abundance. Stay here a moment longer. Let this sacred pause mark you, because this moment will echo forward, shaping what comes next in ways you may not yet see, but will one day recognize with gratitude. My beloved child, I want to speak peace into something that has been quietly pressing on you, the feeling that you must hurry, the sense that time is slipping, that opportunities are passing, that if you do not move quickly enough, you will miss what matters. Listen to me now with a settled heart. I am not rushing you. Urgency that comes from fear is not my voice. It tightens your chest, plows your discernment, and pushes you to act before you are ready. My leading does not feel like that. When I guide, there is clarity without panic, movement without chaos, purpose without pressure. If you feel frantic, pause. I am not found in frenzy. You have learned to associate speed with success. You have been taught that faster is better, that waiting is weakness, that slowing down means falling behind. But I measure progress differently. I value depth over speed, stability over haste, alignment over appearance. What I am building in you requires care, not hurry. There are things in your life that would be damaged if rushed. Healing that needs time to settle. Wisdom that grows through experience. Trust that strengthens through consistency. If I were to accelerate these processes, they would not hold. I am not delaying you. I am protecting what is forming. You may look around and see others moving quickly, making decisions, reaching milestones. Comparison whispers that you should be further along. But comparison does not account for calling. What I am preparing you for is specific. It requires you to be grounded, not hurried. Good paired love preview. I am not ignoring your desire to move forward. I see it. I honor it. But forward movement does not always look like outward change. Sometimes it looks like internal readiness, a calmer response, a clear boundary, a deeper trust. These are signs of progress that do not show up on timelines, but they matter immensely. When you rush, you tend to skip listening. You react instead of discerning. You choose what is available instead of what is aligned. I do not want you to live that way. I want your steps to be intentional, not impulsive. That is how peace is preserved. You may fear that slowing down will make you miss opportunities. But what is meant for you does not require panic to obtain. What belongs to you will wait until you are ready to receive it will. I am capable of holding doors open and closing them at the right time. You do not need to force what I am overseeing. I want you to release the belief that you are running out of time. Time is not your enemy. I am the author of time, and I am present in it with you. Nothing in your life is slipping beyond my reach. Nothing good is being lost because you are moving carefully. There is a difference between readiness and restlessness. Readiness feels calm and focused. Restlessness feels tense and scattered. Learn to recognize which one is motivating you. When you act from readiness, your steps feel steady. When you act from restlessness, your steps feel heavy. I am teaching you to move from peace, not toward it. Peace is not a reward for getting everything right. It is the foundation from which right decisions are made. When you begin from peace, you choose more wisely. You notice more clearly. You trust more deeply. You do not need to prove your seriousness by exhausting yourself. You do not need to demonstrate faith by rushing ahead. Faith often looks like waiting when it would be easier to force movement. That kind of faith builds endurance and wisdom. I am attentive to your pace. I know when to slow you down and when to prompt you forward. Trust my timing. It is precise, even when it feels slow to you. I see connections you cannot yet see. I understand consequences you do not yet know. My guidance is shaped by love, not urgency. Breathe, my child. Let your shoulders relax. You are not being left behind. You are being led. And as you learn to move without panic, you will discover that what unfolds does so with greater clarity and less regret. I am not rushing you because I care deeply about where you are going. Walk with me. Let each step be guided, not forced. What is ahead will meet you at the right pace, and you will arrive with peace intact. My beloved child, I want you to hear this truth settle deeply into your spirit now. You are not alone in this. Not in your questions, not in your waiting, not in the quiet decisions that shape your days. Even when you feel isolated in your thoughts, even when no one around you seems to understand what you are carrying, I am with you. Loneliness does not always come from being physically alone. Sometimes it comes from feeling unseen, unheard, or misunderstood. From carrying concerns you do not know how to explain. From walking a path that others cannot fully relate to. I see that loneliness, and I do not minimize it. But I want you to know that your solitude has never been abandonment. There have been moments when you wondered if you were navigating the season by yourself, when answers felt delayed and guidance felt quiet. In those moments, it was easy to assume distance. But silence does not mean absence. Often, it means I am closer than you realize, steadying you, anchoring you, allowing you to grow confident in my presence rather than dependent on constant reassurance. You are not required to carry every burden alone. You are not expected to figure everything out without help. I am a present father, not a distant observer. I walk with you through uncertainty, not ahead of you shouting instructions. I stay close, matching your pace, attentive to every shift in your heart. When you feel unsure, I am near. When you feel tired, I am near. When you feel hopeful but cautious, I am near. My presence does not fluctuate based on your confidence or clarity. It remains steady, faithful, constant. You may not always feel me emotionally, but presence is not measured by feeling alone. It is measured by faithfulness. And I am faithful. I have not stepped away from your life for even a moment. Every breath you take is sustained. Every step you make is noticed. There are seasons when I allow you to feel the weight of choice more deeply, not to overwhelm you, but to teach you discernment. These seasons can feel lonely because you are learning to listen inwardly rather than relying on external affirmation. But even then, you are not alone. You are learning intimacy with me. I know you sometimes wish someone would simply tell you what to do, confirm your thoughts, or reassure your fears. And while I do use people to encourage you, I am also teaching you to recognize my guidance within you. That inner steadiness you are developing will serve you well in the days ahead. You are not walking in circles. You are not lost. You are learning to walk with awareness. Awareness can feel heavy at first, but it leads to wisdom and peace. I am with you in this learning. When you pray and feel unsure of what to say, I am still listening. When you sit quietly without words, I am still present. Relationship with me does not depend on eloquence or certainty. It depends on openness. And your heart has remained open. You may look around and feel different from others, as if your journey has taken a more solitary route. That does not mean it is lesser. Often, it means it is deeper. Some paths require more inward growth before outward expansion. I am attentive to that process in you. You do not need to fear being forgotten or overlooked. I know your name. I know your story. I know your struggles and your hopes. I am not managing you from a distance. I am walking with you personally. There will come times when companionship increases, when others walk alongside you in new ways. But even then, my presence will remain your foundation. People may come and go. Circumstances may change. I do not. Rest in this truth now. You are not carrying your life alone. You are not facing tomorrow by yourself. You are not responsible for holding everything together. I am with you, steady and attentive. Let that assurance quiet the places where fear tries to whisper isolation. Let it strengthen you when you feel uncertain. You are accompanied. You are supported. You are seen. And as you continue forward, remember this, even in moments when no one else understands your path, you are never walking it without me. My beloved child, I want you to see what you are doing right now, even if it feels small or unnoticed. You are planting seeds, not only through actions, but through attitudes, through choices of trust, through moments when you decide to stay open instead of closing off. These seeds may not look impressive yet, but they are alive and they are taking root. A seed does not announce its growth. It disappears into the soil, hidden from view, surrounded by darkness and pressure. And yet, something powerful is happening beneath the surface. The seed is not failing because it cannot be seen. It is preparing. In the same way, what you are nurturing now is preparing your future, even when you cannot yet see results. You may wonder if your efforts matter, if choosing patience again truly makes a difference, if trusting me quietly, without visible reward, is worth it. Hear me clearly. Nothing planted in faith is ever wasted. Every seed carries intention, and I am the one who ensures it grows. Some of the seeds you are planting are emotional, learning to respond calmly, choosing forgiveness, allowing hope to return gently. These seeds shape the climate of your heart, and the climate of your heart determines what can flourish there. Other seeds are spiritual, staying present with me, listening instead of rushing, obeying when it would be easier to ignore my guidance. These seeds deepen your roots. They make you stable enough to handle what is coming without being shaken. You may be tempted to dig up seeds prematurely to check if they are working. Doubt does this. It pulls at what is planted, asking for proof before growth has time to occur. But seeds grow best when they are left in trust, when they are watered with patience, not disturbed by fear. I know you want assurance. I know you long for confirmation that you are on the right path. But assurance does not always come through visible change. Sometimes it comes through peace that does not make sense yet. Sometimes it comes through resilience you did not know you had. These are signs of growth too. The seeds you are planting today will produce fruit in a season that matches their purpose. Some will grow quickly. Others will take time. Both are necessary. Quick growth brings encouragement. So growth brings strength. I'm overseeing both. You are not responsible for forcing growth. You are responsible for planting faithfully and tending gently. I take care of the increase. I know how much sunlight and rain each seed needs. I know when to protect it and when to let it stretch. There will be moments when you feel tempted to plant different seeds, seeds rooted in fear, control, or bitterness. Resist that temptation. Those seeds grow quickly, but their fruit is heavy. Continue planting what brings peace, trust, and alignment. That fruit will sustain you. You may not realize how your current choices are shaping your future environment. The peace you practice now will surround you later. The patience you develop now will support you later. The trust you nurture now will steady you later. You are not preparing blindly. You are preparing wisely. There are seeds you planted long ago that are only now beginning to show signs of life. Do not be discouraged if some take longer than expected. Delaying growth is not denied growth. Often, it means the roots are going deeper, preparing for something lasting. Stay faithful in tending what you have planted. Continue to water your trust with prayer, your hope with truth, your peace with rest. These practices matter. They create consistency, and consistency strengthens growth. I am watching over every seed. I do not forget what hath been planted. I do not abandon the work of my hands. When the time is right, you will see fruit. And when you do, you will recognize that it did not appear suddenly. It was for me all. Be patient with the process. Be gentle with yourself. Growth is not loud, but it is sure. What you are planting today is preparing a tomorrow that will meet you with stability, provision, and peace. Trust me with the unseen work. The seeds are alive, and in time, they will rise. My beloved child, now I invite you to lift your eyes. Not away from responsibility, not away from reality, but above the narrow frame fear hath been using to limit your view. You have been looking at life from ground level, measuring everything by what is close, immediate, and uncertain. But there is a higher perspective available to you, and it changes how everything appears. When you lift your eyes, you begin to see with hope instead of anxiety. You notice patterns instead of problems alone. You recognize that what feels confusing up close often makes sense when viewed from above. This is not denial of difficulty. It is alignment with truth. Fear keeps your gaze low. It trains you to scan for threats, to focus on what could go wrong, to anticipate loss. Over time, this posture becomes familiar, even exhausting. I am calling you out of that posture now. Not by force, but by invitation. Lift your eyes and remember who I am. I am not reacting to your life. I am reigning over it. I am not trying to fix things at the last moment. I am guiding them with intention. When you look up, you remember that your life is held within something larger than your immediate circumstances. You have been carrying questions that feel heavy because you have been trying to answer them alone. Lift your eyes and let me carry the weight of those questions with you. Some answers will come in time. Others will resolve themselves through experience rather than explanation. You do not need to solve everything to move forward wisely. When you lift your eyes, you begin to see how far you have already come. You notice progress that was invisible when you were focused only on what remained undone. Gratitude begins to form naturally. Not forced, but genuine. Gratitude shifts your heart from scarcity to trust. There is a future unfolding that requires vision, not worry. Vision sees possibility even when details are unclear. Vision trusts direction even when the path curves. Vision keeps you moving forward without demanding certainty at every step. I know it feels safer to look down sometimes, to stay focused on what you can control. But safety rooted in control is fragile. Safety rooted in trust is steady. When you lift your eyes, you release the illusion that everything depends on you, and you remember that I am guiding your steps. Lift your eyes and see that you are not surrounded by obstacles alone. You are surrounded by my care. You are not boxed in by limitation. You are being led through a process. Processes feel slow when you stare at them closely, but they reveal purpose when you step back. There will be moments when fear tries to pull your gaze down again. When it whispers urgency, comparison, or doubt. When that happens, gently lift your eyes again. This is a practice, not a one-time act. Each time you choose a higher perspective, peace strengthens its hold. You are learning to see differently, to interpret delays as preparation, to interpret pauses as protection, to interpret uncertainty as an invitation to trust more deeply. This shift in vision is not accidental. It is growth. Lift your eyes and see that you are not alone in this journey. Others have walked similar paths, faced similar uncertainties, and found stability through trust. You are part of a larger story, one that is being written with care. I am not asking you to ignore what is in front of you. I am asking you not to be limited by it. Look ahead with hope. Look upward with trust. Look inward with honesty. All three together create clarity. As you lift your eyes, you will feel something loosen inside you. The tightness of constant vigilance. A strain of trying to predict outcomes. The heaviness of carrying tomorrow before it arrives. Let that release happen. It is safe. I am leading you forward, my child. Not blindly, not hastily, but wisely. And when you lift your eyes, you will see that the path ahead is not as threatening as fear suggested. It is marked by my presence. Keep your eyes lifted. Hope grows there. Peace settles there. And from that higher view, you will walk forward with greater confidence and less fear, trusting that what lies ahead is being guided with love. My beloved child, now I invite you to step forward gently. Not with force, not with urgency, not with the pressure to prove anything, but with quiet confidence rooted in trust. The next step before you does not require you to have the whole path mapped out. It only asks you to move with me. Gentle steps are often misunderstood. They are mistaken for hesitation or weakness. But gentleness is not fear. It is wisdom. It is the ability to move without panic, to act without aggression, to advance without losing peace. This is the kind of strength I am cultivating in you. You have learned what happens when you rush ahead driven by anxiety. You have felt the exhaustion of trying to outrun uncertainty. Now I am teaching you a different way. A way where movement feels steady rather than frantic. Where progress feels aligned rather than strained. The step before you may look small. It may feel unimpressive. It may not carry the sense of finality you expected. But small steps taken in alignment carry more power than large steps taken in fear. I am not impressed by size. I am attentive to direction. As you step forward gently, you remain attentive. You notice when peace increases and when it fades. You sense when something aligns and when it does not. This awareness keeps you grounded. It allows me to guide you moment by moment instead of you relying on assumptions. You do not need to push yourself into readiness. Readiness grows as you walk. Courage does not arrive fully formed. It builds as you take steps with me, learning that you are supported, guided, and capable. There may still be uncertainty ahead. That does not mean you are unprepared. Uncertainty simply means trust is required. And trust has become familiar to you now. You have practiced it. You have lived it. You are not new to this. As you step forward, release the expectation that everything must feel clear and confident. Some clarity only comes after movement begins. Some confidence only grows after you realize you are still standing, still supported, still guided. I know you may be tempted to look back and question whether you are making the right choice. Reflection can be healthy, but do not let it become hesitation. You are not stepping forward blindly. You are stepping forward with discernment shaped by experience. You are not who you were before. You are more aware, more grounded, more connected to my voice. That matters. that growth is part of what makes this step safe. Step forward gently also means allowing grace for yourself. You will not execute every step perfectly. You may pause. You may adjust. That is not failure. That is responsiveness. I guide flexible hearts more easily than rigid ones. There is no rush in my leading. The pace you are learning now will serve you well in what comes next. You are learning how to move without losing peace, how to progress without abandoning rest. This balance is precious. Do not measure this step by how others might see it. Measure it by how it feels in your spirit. If peace accompanies it even quietly, you are aligned. Peace does not eliminate challenge, but it confirms direction. You are not walking toward something that will break you. You are walking toward something that will grow you. Growth may stretch you, but it will not abandon you. I am attentive to your capacity, and I lead accordingly. As you step forward gently, trust that I will meet you in motion. Guidance often becomes clear once you begin walking. Provision often appears once obedience is underway. You do not need to wait for everything to be settled to move with me. This step is not the end. It is part of a journey that continues unfolding. There will be more guidance, more reassurance, more support as you go. You are not being sent ahead alone. Take the step, my beloved child. Not hurried, not afraid, simply willing. I am with you. And as you move forward in this way, you will discover that gentleness carries you farther than force ever could. Walk on. Peace will walk with you. My beloved child, now we arrive at this final moment together, not as an ending but as a sealing. Everything I have spoken has been leading you here, to a place of assurance, clarity, and peace. Let these words settle deeply within you. Your tomorrow is not uncertain, because I am already there. And what I have begun in you, I will be faithful to complete. You have listened. You have paused. You have allowed your heart to soften and your grip on control to loosen. That matters more than you realize. The future you are walking toward is already responding to this posture. It is being shaped by trust, steadied by peace, and guided by my hand. You are not leaving this moment the same as you entered it. Something has shifted quietly inside you. Not loudly, not dramatically, but firmly. A deeper confidence, a gentler courage, a settled knowing that you are not alone and never have been. This is the kind of change that lasts. As you move forward, remember this. You do not need to carry tomorrow all at once. Tomorrow will meet you when it arrives, and when it does, I will be there with you, just as I am now. The same voice that has spoken peace to you here will guide you there. Nothing ahead of you is unmanaged. Nothing is forgotten. Nothing is out of my care. When doubts return, and they may, return to what you know, I am faithful. I am present. I am leading you. Let that truth anchor you. You do not need to strive to earn my guidance or my love. Both are already yours. I bless your mind with clarity. I bless your heart with peace. I bless your steps with alignment. I bless your future with stability and purpose. Where there has been fear, I release calm. Where there has been confusion, I release understanding. Where there has been weariness, I release rest. You will not walk alone. You will not be overwhelmed. You will not be forgotten. I will open the right doors at the right time, and I will close what would harm you. Trust me with your timing. Trust me with your path. Trust me with yourself. My beloved child, if this message has strengthened you, if it has anchored your spirit and reminded you of who you are and whose you are, do not let it end here. Let it move through you into the lives of others. Hype this message so it can reach hearts that are weary, anxious, or searching for reassurance. Share it. Stay connected. Subscribe, so this voice of peace continues to meet you and many others exactly when it is needed. And now, hear me one final time as I speak purpose over your giving. I say to you, what you release in obedience, I return in blessing. When you support this mission through Super Thanks, through membership, or through the PayPal donation link found in the description and shown in the QR code, you are not giving to content. You are sowing into souls. You are helping my words reach those who feel lost, alone, or on the edge of giving up. I speak this blessing over you directly. As you sow, so shall you reap. I bless your generosity with increase, your obedience with peace, and your faithfulness with fruit that remains. Do not hesitate. Do not delay. Act now, as a prophetic response to what your heart has received. Go forward with confidence, my child. Tomorrow is not something to fear. It is something I have prepared. Walk into it with peace. Walk into it with trust. Walk into it knowing you are deeply loved, fully guided, and completely held. Amen.